Welcome to part 1 of December and Winter Magic. This 6-part series is meant to give you everything that you need to navigate what really actually feels like a time of year that we want to rest and move with the circadian rhythm of a slow. And yet, for many of us, because of the holidays and the way our schedules go, December tends to be super busy. So how do we balance the need for more rest and more slower pace and the busyness? And then where does magic fit into all of that? So that's what we're going to talk about in this 6-part series. And I've broken it down into 6 parts specifically so I can give you real, tangible, practical rituals, spells, and workings to walk you through each step of the way as we prepare for 2026. Because while we have these kind of polar opposites pulling us to more rest, go to bed earlier and being busier, and what magic do I do for the solstice? What is Yule going to look like? There's also another pull of energy that happens, and that is preparing for the year ahead. Now, depending on your practice and your belief system, you might celebrate the beginning of the year in like spring equinox. But for many of us, the calendar year, even if, we don't follow the Gregorian calendar, for many of us, it still is a completion cycle, and it's been ingrained in us as humans to know that like the 31st is the end of the year. December 31st is the end of the year. So it's okay if you have different start dates in your own wheel, in your own birth year. We all have this need to wrap up a year and be prepared for the year ahead in some way, shape, or form. So it's important to know that everything we do in December, there's this little inner clock telling us, oh, we're about to go into a new year. So I want to make sure that I'm incorporating holding the balance of magic, needing more rest, busy season, and the call of the future. So that's why it's broken into the 6-part series. So if you are, catching me for the first time here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and you'll get the notifications when they come up. And for those of you that don't know me, hello, my name is Tahverlee. I'm a high priestess, a practicing witch, founder of the Moon Temple Mystery School, and this is my passion. Helping you find ways to use magic and the mysteries and spell work to actually change your life in practical, real ways. Now, I'm all for the big workings that we do, the big ceremonial magic, and trust me, it is a big part of my life. But I'm also very aware that if we have families and busy careers, that the month of December starts to feel like, where do I have the space to fit in to magic? So let's talk about what we're going to start with. So depending on when you're watching this, you can watch these anytime you want. They are in order of rituals and spells, so it's best to watch them in order. But whenever you're watching this, I want to start with reminding you that no matter what you start planning at the end of December, no matter how you go into 2026 or any year ahead, there are tendrils of the year you've just finished that still live in your body. And 2025 has been a doozy, which means you are probably still carrying some of it in your body. If we don't acknowledge it, move it, make note of what we want to keep from it, what we want to carry forward and what we don't, then we're going to carry it into the next year. So I'm here to tell you that it is important when you're doing magic in December to really take time to reflect upon what you love about the year you've just experienced and what you are ready to leave behind. And this isn't about gratitude, although I originally wrote this as gratitude, and I feel like gratitude is overused because a lot of times people use gratitude as a way to express something that I'm afraid to lose. And if you're using gratitude as a way of, oh, I'm so grateful because you're afraid of losing the thing and you think gratitude will help you keep it, that's not real gratitude. So If you have a gratitude practice that's based upon what you actually feel grateful for, not what you're afraid to lose, then use that. Or I want to give you 2 ways to take your experience of the year and start letting it percolate. Like, this is step 1 of 6. Start letting it percolate. So before we start looking to the year ahead, before we start diving deep into magic, we have to know like what's left in our body from the last cycle. And this is the thing about rituals and spells. They all exist in cycles. We live in cycles. We move through energetic cycles every day, every month, and every year. So this series is pulling you out of the daily and weekly and monthly cycles and focusing on the year cycle. They're different viewpoints. They're different check-in points. They have different evaluations. They have different energy. And when you take all of this work in I shouldn't call it work, all of this fun we're going to have in this 6-part series, and then you cast your intentions, goals, or vision board, after that, your year ahead will be something you have never experienced before. But we have to start here. So I'm going to tell you the 2 things that I want you to do this first week in this 1st-part series. And this is something you can do solo. You can do it with your family. You can do it with your friends. You can do it with a partner. You can do this anytime you want, any which way you want. And the outcome will really help clear, cleanse, and like reset. Not necessarily reset. Let's say bring your energy to neutral. That's the goal. Bring your energy to neutral. And before I tell you those 2 things, I want you to know that I have created a really super powerful 2026 intention wheel class that goes along with everything that I'm doing here. The link will be in the show notes. I couldn't possibly give you all of that and all of this. All of this in the 6-part series is going to be great. If you want to go deeper and you want to set 2026 up to have the most magical, transformational year possible, then join the class. The link is below. I will give you all the rituals, all the supplies, all the incantations, and I will help you determine what intentions are actually bubbling to the surface. So if you don't know what you want next year and you have no clarity yet, don't worry. That's part of, to me, how we actually cast intentions. The bigger part of that work is knowing what you want. So between this series and that class, you're going to be able to wrap 2025 up with a bow that might have some blood spots on it from the craziness of the year, that might have new possibilities in it. This bow that we wrap up this current year with will be what we put on the top of 2026. So check the link in the show notes and join me for the 2026 intention wheel is what we're going to be creating, because I can totally help you take this deeper in a bunch of ways. So check the link. Okay, so back to this idea of gratitude. If we only focus on gratitude, or if we only focus on the things that we loved about the year, then we are completely bypassing truth. Because the truth is, we all have challenges. And as a collective group of peoples that live on this planet, in this crazy time, we have some shadows and darkness that we've experienced this year. I know you have. I know I have. I know we all have. So the exercise is to not only ask yourself, not about gratitude, ask yourself, what did you love about 2025? You might take a few days to think about it and then start noting it down. You might take this question and put it in your phone, and while you're driving, just let the ideas flood, because I want a list. What did you love about 2025 in your life? And then when you feel like you have exhausted all of the things that want to come out and be spoken and be written that you loved about the year, because I can immediately come up with probably 20 things. Their experiences, growth, self-growth, how my spiritual gifts showed up, the magic that I cast, physical, tangible outcomes of spells, new things, new experiences, new career growth, like all of those things, they immediately flood my field. When you have written it down, No matter how long you take to contemplate it, write it down. Then you have another question. And the second question is, what am I ready to leave in 2025? These are the things that you didn't love. These are the things that hurt. These are the things that upset your belly, and they might still exist. And it doesn't mean because you're just writing them down, you're going to leave them behind 2025 when the rest of the world might be burning down. It's not that. You might feel differently next year. You might be able to hold the pain differently in 2026. So the way you feel about everything that happened in 2025, think about it and write it down. I do recommend you spend less time in this energy, but be thorough. Meaning the things you love, you might be thinking about this for 3 or 4 days before the next part in the series comes out. You might, have a list half done and then finish it over the course of a week. But the things that you want to leave behind in 2025, let them come in spurts. Identify 10, 15, 20 minutes and free write everything that you want to leave behind. It could be globally, how you feel about global situations. It could be about relationships that just haven't grown. It could be an issue that happened, a specific thing. It could be a health thing, anything. Write it down. When you have exhausted both of these questions, I'm going to give you a spell to do with this in part 2. So part 1 is we're going to track everything on how we're sitting at the closing of this year before we get into anything for planning for next year. We're first going to acknowledge truth. What did I love and what did I not love? And I want you to write it all down. All right. So as a reminder, this 6-part series is going to give you a chronological order of ways to be fully present in December, the final month of the year where many of us spend time with families, and that itself can become its own trigger. This isn't about that, so I'll leave that there. But how to be fully present in the current month, and how to start processing the year and getting ready to turn our attention to what's ahead. You can hold all of those balls of energy at the same time. Full presence, full processing, and full future forecasting. That's the goal of this series. Make sure you subscribe and drop a comment below if you are doing the work of these 2 areas of 2025. And I'll see you in step 2.